Welcome to the Mulberry Creek Hour. It's Monday, sometime around 5 o'clock, I would imagine. I'm Vicki Morgan, and behind the board is Josh Morgan producing, as always.
Hello.
So I hope you had a good weekend. I know it was, that's almost facetious. How could you have had a good weekend this weekend? What a terrible cluster of bad news. Between the shooting in Maine, which of course affected a lot of our friends in the deaf community in Maine, so our hearts go out to all the victims. 18 people, I think, was the final total. So our heartfelt condolences to our family and friends in Maine who were affected by that. I know it was a very scary few days waiting to track down that piece of shit. So, but he's gone, and whatever.
There you go.
There you go. But it's left to pick up the pieces. There's a whole bunch of links if you do a quick search on anywhere on Facebook, really. There's a whole bunch of GoFundMe set up for the victims. There was some that were people who went to Governor Bachelor School for the Deaf on Mackworth Island in Maine. Again, we knew a lot of the people who were impacted. None of the victims, but we knew a lot of people who were impacted by it. So our heartfelt condolences to those folks. And also, of course, we lost Matthew Perry this weekend.
Right?
Amazing. Like I can't even. I think it was a pretty sad weekend, but we're here and we're going to carry on and do some fun stuff today. We got Dave Whitty on the show, and I'm really excited about that. And we have a big event coming up this weekend.
We do.
At the LSPU Hall.
That's right.
How long have I waited to say that? We had an event one time at the LSPU Hall about, maybe 3 years ago. And we were still in lockdown, sort of. We were just coming out of lockdown at the time. I think we were allowed to have 25 people at our event, and we packed her to the rafters as far as 25 people would get us. And so, but what we were doing at the hall at that time was we were shooting a little documentary called How to Fail at Documentary Filmmaking. And of course, as I complained about every single week on the show, that show didn't get made. They didn't like it on the mainland. So it became a book, and that is the book release. Well, it's not really a book release. The book's been out for about 3-4 weeks.
It's a release party. It's a launch.
It's a celebration, because it kind of, it occurred to me that the celebration is, it's not about the number of sales, it's not about the reviews, it's not about any of that stuff. The thing is doing the thing that brings pleasure and joy, and I definitely enjoyed writing this book. Josh, how did you enjoy this process?
I thought it was really fun. I mean, I really appreciate that you let me edit after, a few drafts. We dug through and edited everything, and then making the cover was a lot of fun, and now we're promoting it and getting it out there for people to see. Of
course, Josh did all the graphic design on the cover, which I absolutely loved. I went to him and I said, I'd like it to look like a bulletin board with a bunch of scatterbrain notes and stuff on it. And I think it came out, what he took from that and turned into our cover is absolutely beautiful. And I'm really grateful that he's able to do those things. And of course, so the event is coming up on the 5th of November at the LSPU Hall. There's going to be we're going to be playing a lot of music, because that's who we are. I haven't been to a whole lot of book releases, so I don't really know, or book celebrations or whatever. I haven't been to a whole lot of them, so I don't know what people generally expect. So we're just doing it how Josh and Vicki do it. So you will be able to get, if you're online right now, if you're on Facebook, I can tell you where we have behind the scenes always on Facebook Live on the Mulberry Creek Hour. There's going to be some hats, because I knit when I'm nervous, and while I was waiting for the release of this book, I knit like a maniac.
Like the Dickens.
Like the Dickens. So there was hats just go flying off the needles while it was crochet. And also, I learned how to make circles, and I learned how to make squares. And when you can make a circle, you can make a hat. And when you make squares, you can make these little jobbies. Dishcloths. They're dishcloths. And these last for, how long have we had? We've got some of these.
I got a drawer full
from your grandmother.
Of stressed dishcloths. Oh, those, yeah.
We've got some from your grandmother that we've had, I think, since we got married 17 years ago.
Yeah.
So these last a really long time, pure cotton. And so there's just going to be stuff there that we've made. And that'll all be out. We'll have cake. Our friend Denny's bringing a cake, which I can't wait for. And what else? There's going to be some snacks and entertainment. And
music.
If you're a musician, you want to come down and play a few tunes with us, more than welcome. The doors will be open. Tickets are available at the LSP Hall box office, or at the door. You can get them at the door. If you're not a person that plans ahead a lot, that's totally fine. And I'm going to give you a little demonstration of what these hats can do. I use this cream that I ordered from Amazon. Someone recommended it. It was called a curl cream. And it didn't work. I tried it today. It didn't work. So here's what you can do with a what are these called? A beanie. Watch this. Hipster.
Done.
Boom. Hipster.
Problem
you just
solved.
Put on a hat. Bad hair day? Put on a hat. Put a hat on it. So stick around. We're going to have Dave Whitty in the studio in just a few minutes, and we are going to what do we got queued up, Josh?
We were lucky enough to this weekend on 2 occasions go see our good friends, the Navigators.
They're so amazing.
Once was Fred and Arthur, and the second time was Fred and Arthur and Trevor Kelly playing bass. So it was like even a more full, awesome sound. So
and you know I love all those guys, but Trevor Kelly has a special place in my heart from when I was a teenage girl at Gonzaga, and he came out and did a concert for me in the chapel at Gonzaga. It was awesome.
It wasn't just for like you. It wasn't just like you staring at him while he played music.
I mean, I would have done that, but no, that's not what it was.
You organized the concert.
I asked him to come out.
Yes.
What was it even for? I think I just saw him playing one time, and I asked the teachers. I think it might have been like a Newfoundland culture class. I think Mr. Kavanaugh might have let us do that because he was doing a lot of Newfoundland stuff at the time and all kinds of different things. And I just thought he was fascinating because he was like a one-man show, and he just knew so much about music when I was just playing guitar in my bedroom by myself. So I love him, and he was playing on Saturday at the. In the middle of Mardi Gras going on downtown. I completely forgot Mardi Gras was going on.
Yeah, it was crazy.
But anyway, here's a song from the Navigators. This is Moon Dance. Welcome back to the Mulberry Creek Hour. I'm Vicki Morgan, and producing, of course, behind the board as always is Josh Morgan. Josh, you're doing a great job today, buddy.
Thanks, honey.
You keep me on track. I can't eat like buzz. Dave Whitty's in the studio. I'm so friggin' excited. Oh my God. So we went out a few weeks ago. We went down to Kelly's, which I haven't been to Kelly's in a while.
Yeah.
But I love Kelly's.
They have breakfast there. We gotta go back and have breakfast sometime.
We had to get up early enough to get breakfast on a restaurant menu.
That's right.
That's the
I think
key.
it might be all day. Just throwing it out.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Now see,
Cora's, you gotta be there before 3. Kelly's, you can just go anytime.
They got their finger on the pulse of musicians because
right.
I don't know anyone that's up before noon, so we're gonna have to go down. But anyway, so our friend Denny called and said, "You gotta come out and see Dave Whitty." I don't know how we haven't crossed paths before.
Mm-hmm.
I was in love. First couple of notes, I went, "Oh my God, Denny, who is that?" It was just one song after another, and I was just about slipped right off my chair, right out under the table. It was like, "Oh my God!"
It was a good set.
And then it was just magic, and you're here. Mm-hmm. I can't believe you're here. It's like I'm a big fan, Dave. You got so much stuff going on, and it's like I don't know how we haven't crossed paths before, but I'm glad we finally did.
Yeah, likewise, absolutely.
Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me, guys. Yeah.
So you've got a ton of stuff. I know you've got a songwriter circle coming up later this week. You've got an album coming out in the spring. What's going on? Tell us about Dave Whitty.
Yeah. No, it's been a pretty busy few months. We got the Songwriter Circle first off. I mean, that's coming up in just a few days. Thursday night at the Ship. Just to maybe pump it a little bit, there's still some tickets available online. You can go to my social media feed, pretty much at Dave Whitty on anything. And $15 pre-sale tickets, $20 at the door. Myself, Jerry Stamp, Mallory Johnson, and Kelsey Arsenault. It's a pretty stacked lineup. It's going to be pretty neat. We're just going to do a circle. We're going to sit on stage and just tell stories about the songs that we sing.
And what a lineup! That lineup is spectacular.
Yeah,
oh my God! Kelsey just put out her first album, of course, just a few weeks ago. 2 sold-out shows. She did her CD release, 2 sold-out shows, and Mallory Johnson, if I'm not mistaken, walked away with all the Music and L awards.
Yeah, she took all of them.
Oh man, she is spectacular. She's been down in Nashville. She's recorded with everybody. She's so amazing. So it's going to the stories behind the songs is my favorite thing to do. Is to hear the songwriters tell the actual what was going on, what they were writing about, what they were thinking about. I love that.
Yeah,
and the Ship.
Of course, yeah. No, it's always good. I mean, I kind of do that in my shows anyways. I'm always kind of, especially if I'm doing some of my original stuff, I mean, especially in the venues where people traditionally would play covers or play other people's songs. Whenever I do tell or play my own songs, I always like to tell a little story, because if not, it kind of just engages the audience a tiny bit when they're probably waiting to hear, anything else that, they can sing along to. And it's always an interesting task trying to grasp people at these venues. Like Kelly's, I love playing Kelly's, played Kelly's for years, but you don't generally go in there and do a live show, 3 hours of original stuff. But,
No.
I mean, I do it. I always go in there and play my own stuff because I just don't care, and I just like playing my own music. So, but I always like to tell a little story beforehand anyways. I think that's a part of it.
I love it. Someone actually told me a few years ago, you can't play originals on George. I was actually told you can't play a 45-minute set of originals. And man, did I play originals for the rest of, for spite.
For spite.
For
yeah.
spite.
Of course,
we do lots of covers I've been playing for years, but the stories behind the songs, I think I don't know if there's anything worse when I'm listening to a band and they go, and here's one we wrote ourselves.
Yeah.
Because I don't care that you wrote it. Tell me why you wrote it.
Yeah.
When the story comes out first, I'm like, oh, I'm invested. I'm finishing the rhymes in my head, like, oh, that's a cool turn of phrase, or I love it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, I've been doing this professionally. I mean, 16 years now. It's the only job I've ever done. I mean, I've done 300 gigs a year. I live in Mexico. I mean, I spend my winters in Mexico. I've been going there for 12 years. I play music there for 3 months a year. I've been doing that for 12 years. I've released 3 albums of original material, working on my 4th. I've released records with other bands before. I mean, I've done this a long time. I've played on and off George Street. I've played cover sets and all these things. But, it really comes down to a time and a place. I mean, generally, you're probably not going to bust out 3 hours of original stuff on a Friday night on George Street.
The Late Show.
It just doesn't. You can do it, but you're not. I'll guarantee you, it's not the audience who are there to hear that stuff, which is fine. There's a time and a place for all of that. But I mean, when you do those early kind of slots, like especially I do a lot of like the evening slots, the matinee slots, I can get away with a lot of it then because you get people who are just kind of sat back, listening, enjoying a beer, and a listening crowd, which I adore.
And I think a lot of times people will see your name on the Facebook page or whatever and go to see you. It's not just people that are necessarily just at the bar.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I like I say, I've been doing this for a long time now, and it's I think it's finally starting to catch.
Well, I've known your name for a really long time, but when I walked into Kelly's, I was like, Denny, who's the young pup playing? Like, he's new. I've known your name for years.
I love that young pup.
I just thought you were like, I don't know who I had in my mind, but it was like, aren't you like 60? Like, you've been around playing for years.
Yeah, like I said, I literally have been doing this as my only job, since the last time I worked I don't want to use those words.
No, I know what you mean.
A job that didn't require me playing music.
A trad job.
Yeah.
Not a music trad.
Was when I was 20. Honestly, when I was 20 years old. It was the last time I served in a restaurant. It was Oliver's on Water Street.
I just figured out the math. Well, first of all, I never went to Oliver's because I didn't have money back then. And we were away for 11 years. We've been back for 5.
That's what it is, yeah.
Yeah. I think I'm going to blame it on that. And then there was a few years in there where we were in lockdown, so we actually weren't in the same world for your whole music career. So
yeah.
Here we are. I mean, I guess eventually you're going to bang into each other. That's just how life goes. Right?
Yeah, no doubt. So yeah, it's it's
very talented guitar player, absolutely beautiful voice. Dave, you have any songs ready for us today?
I do. Yeah, I can do.
What's your favorite song to play?
I don't love that question, to be honest with you.
Okay, I'll ask you another one. What do you hate to get recorded? I'm just kidding.
No.
Well, yeah, what's your least favorite song to play?
What's on your heart today? What do you got for us today?
I was probably going to do something off the new record, if that's okay with you guys.
Absolutely.
Maybe something I haven't released yet.
Nice.
Like I say, I've been working with producer Peter Green, who's been out with Alan Doyle and Matt Mays and Tim Baker and all these guys. So I was in Halifax earlier this summer, and we did all the drums and bass in Halifax with drummer Josh Van Tassel, who is just absolutely incredible. We did all that at his studio just outside Halifax. He's done drums for Donovan Woods and Rose Cousins and Amelia Curran, and he was just out with Bahamas. I mean, very, very interesting cat, super down to earth, but very interesting style of drumming percussion, which I thought was really, really neat. So we got all of that stuff done. Pretty much everything's done. I mean, we still got a little bit to add, but I didn't think it was super smart to release a record late November, early December, as it usually gets washed away by the Christmas season. And then I was kind of thinking, I don't know if January and February is good either, because it's the middle of winter. I'm also going to go be in Mexico, so I figure when I get back, it'd be a perfect time to do it. So, yeah, I can do a song from the new record. Is that okay with you guys?
And I got to shout out Peter Green. He is like, how do we get Peter Green? Yeah. He's amazing.
Yeah, he is.
Like the live mixing and stuff. He's like eats it. Like he does.
Yeah, no, Peter's been. He's been a really good friend of mine over the last 10 years. I mean, I work with him obviously, but he's also became a very close friend of mine. We actually have traveled. I mean, we did a Euro trip a few years back. We went to 3 or 4 different countries in Europe, and neither of us took an instrument. It was the first time I traveled on a plane in 15 years without a guitar in my hand. It was very fun. Obviously, it was, as you can imagine, it was a pretty tame a couple of weeks for sure in Europe. But anyways, here's a new song. This one's called "Roll the Dice." You gotta have courage. You gotta be strong. You gotta have a worry. You gotta be wrong. You gotta be braver. You gotta be tough. You gotta last a little longer. You can't do enough. So here's a little piece of advice. Sometimes you gotta roll try something new, you might learn a thing or two. You gotta move faster, you gotta slow down. You might have to stay put, you might have to skip town. You gotta be open, you gotta learn to let go. You gotta love a little harder, you gotta learn to say no. So here's a little piece of advice. Sometimes you gotta roll the dice. 'Cause if you try something new, you might learn a thing or two. If your heart is in the right place and you live like it's your last, you just might get where you are going. Get your head out of the past. Little piece of advice. Sometimes you gotta roll the dice. 'Cause if you try something new, you might learn a thing or two.
Gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. I love that. I love that. Oh my God. That was just what I needed after a long weekend of just sitting. Now I get to sit next to Dave Whitty and hear that. Beautiful. Dave, I love you. I hope you can come back when you come back from Mexico and enjoy the winter. It's going to be awesome. I wish we were down in North Carolina for the winter, but we will be here shoveling driveways and shoveling out of snowbanks. But when you come back in the spring and your album's ready to come out, I hope you'll come back and...
Absolutely, yeah. Geez, be my pleasure.
Now,
sure.
Normally I play a song at the end of the show, but do you have I want to talk to you for a few more minutes. Do you have another one ready?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So let me... here's my question for you. I noticed from some of your social media, and I apologize that I have not been following your career, like following you around downtown every gig, because I feel like I've really missed out here, and I'm glad we did finally get to meet. You manage your own career.
Yeah.
You don't have like a team of people that, there's a bunch of gatekeepers and stuff like that. How do you, psychologically, how do you stay in the game? Like when you come back from Mexico and all the gigs that you haven't been doing all the winter, like how do you make all those calls and handle... Because it's a lot of rejection and it's a lot of putting yourself out there. How do you get your head around that?
Yeah, well, I think a lot of this is the relationships and connections that I've made over the years. One thing I definitely do is I take this job very seriously and I treat it professionally as well. I think that goes a long way. I think people see that when I show up. I always do my job correctly. I don't fall off the stage. I don't.
You're not fighting with patrons?
No, I don't do.
No fist fights?
I try not to do any of that stuff. I always just try to put on the best show for the venue and the time slot that I'm working. And then I kind of, in a weird way, I kind of look at those type of gigs as my day job.
Yep. Bread and butter.
They are how I make a living. I mean, I go down and I play a lot of Newfoundland music, especially in the summer times. I've been a big fan of a lot of Newfoundland artists over the years, and Newfoundland folk music. I know a ton of it. So I've made an honest living through the tourism industry in that sense. I work for a lot of the tourists and stuff like that. So I think that's the best thing. I always, like I say, I've got those good connections made with a lot of the venues that I kind of just tell them, hey guys, I'm out of here for the winter. I'll be back. If there's some spaces open, keep me in mind, and usually try to figure it out. But summertime, I'm turning away work. It's actually outrageous the amount of stuff that you can possibly be doing in the summer times. And last few years I've kind of burned myself out the summer. So I try to pick and choose the best things that work for my schedule.
Mm-hmm. And so for the rest of this, for the rest of the fall at least, where can people see you play live?
Yeah, so right now I'm still doing, I just finished up, I was doing Thursday nights at Bull and Barrel, which is one of my favorite gigs on the planet. I love playing the Bull. It's always a good clientele there, and it's, people go there to listen to music, which I love. I can really go in there and I can play the whole set of my own music if I wanted to. But we just finished that up. They're including their music series is up for the the summer, kind of into the fall kind of thing now. So I just finished up there. I'm still at the Newfoundland Embassy on Wednesday nights. I'm there at 9:30 every Wednesday for the foreseeable future. And that's kind of the only things I have set in stone right now. I'm always filling in all over the place. I kind of like to do that, to be honest with you, because I usually find when I keep continuously playing in a place week after week, I tend to get it gets a little dull for me. I feel the monotony of the gig, which is the reason I started playing music in the beginning, because I don't love monotony, and I don't love being held to one single thing and doing the same thing over and over. So when I can mix it up and play at different spots, it's always great. So you can usually find me bumming around. I'm usually playing at Kelly's, or I'm at Shamrock City, or even at the Bull and Barrel, maybe on the weekends. And like you say, the Ship is coming up this weekend, so I play at the Ship. And we always do a huge Tibbs Eve show on December 23rd, obviously at the Rock House with full band. I've been doing that for almost 15 years. It sells out pretty much instantly. It's a huge show. It's a ton of fun. The whole band and a bunch of Christmas tunes and whatever.
And of course, all your socials are at Dave Whitty.
Yep.
And you're on all the platforms.
I am. Yep.
Easy to
and I'm on them quite often. I keep pretty active online on social media, and I try to keep up to date with most of the stuff that I'm doing.
We're lucky to have you here in the province. I'm sorry to see you go for the winter, but really enjoy the sunshine. I think that's where a lot of us want to be when there's another storm forecast and all that kind of stuff. So you're listening to the Mulberry Creek Hour. I'm Vicki Morgan. Josh, thanks for producing. And I'm gonna ask Dave to play us out. It's been a long week, even though it's only Monday, and I don't think there's any better way to finish up our Monday.
There we go.
Just be serenaded by Dave Whitty and just pretend I'm on a beach somewhere with a drink the size of my head,
There you go.
a coconut the size of my head with a lot of alcohol in it. But it's been thanks for listening, and we'll tune in again next Monday. We're here every Monday at 5 o'clock on CHMR 93.5 FM, and of course on Mulberry Creek Hour on Facebook. Thanks for watching and listening. The show, of course, will be up on YouTube within minutes. You can check all of our old shows out, and the Facebook. Not Facebook. The book launch, the book celebration is going to be at the LSPU Hall on November 5th, starting at 7 o'clock. Tickets are available online, or you can just come on in. If you take it in your mind, Sunday evening, come on down. We'll be playing all the songs, covers and originals, and having a bit of cake, and throwing a few hats around, all that kind of stuff. It's going to be a fun time. We're going to celebrate the thing. So come on out and spend your Sunday evening. I absolutely guarantee it will raise your vibration, and you'll go into the week a money magnet. That's my promise for Sunday night. So come on out and see us Monday. Dave, what are you going to play for us?
I'll do another new one. Why not? This one's called Ducks in a Row. I wrote this one kind of thinking about something my mom used to say to me all the time. She always would tell me to get my ducks in a row, and basically get my what together. So yeah, this is another new one. It goes like this. Around me, and I got nowhere to go. I see you carving your own way. You got your ducks in a row. Oh, ooh, ooh. Who would have thought we'd be frozen? We'd have to stand still in time. Said if you wanna get out there, you gotta wait in the line. Oh, ooh, ooh. So if you could agree, it doesn't matter to me. I think it's time to keep moving. We've got a long way to go. I think it's time to keep moving, baby. We've got a long way to go. So when you're searching for answers on ways that you can outlast, sometimes you just gotta wonder what's best to leave in the past. Whoa. Ooh. So if you could agree, time to